أن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلوات الله وسلامه عليه أما بعد. Our mother, the scholar from amongst the companions, the daughter of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, radiyallahu anhuma, told us in an athar, a statement of hers that was collected by Al-Imam Muslim, in which she said, "Umirna an nunazzil an-nas manaziluhum." We have been commanded, the Muslims, everybody here, we have been commanded to put people in their proper places. As Muslims, individuals, as you navigate and you go through the journey of life, you have to go through the journey of life realizing that everyone is not the same, that you have to deal with people in different ways. If you treat everybody the same way, there's something wrong with you. We've been commanded to put people in their proper places. You have to know the places of people. For an example, the prophets and the messengers, salawatullahi wassalamuhu alayhim ajma'een, they have their place. They are the best human beings. So as Muslims, we deal with them a certain way. We look at them a certain way. And then after them, the scholars of Al-Islam, who the Prophet said about them, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, al-ulama warathatul anbiya. The scholars are the inheritors of the prophets. So the scholar that you come across, the knowledgeable person about the deen that you come across, you have to deal with him a certain way. That doesn't mean that he's a nabi or a rasul. That doesn't mean that he's ma'soom. But you have to talk to him a certain way. You have to deal with him a certain way. And if he makes a mistake towards you or on you, you have to deal with that mistake a certain way. He's not an ordinary person. The hafiz of the Qur'an, the one who memorized the kalam of Allah, he may not know anything about the religion. He's not knowledgeable. He's ignorant about ahkam. He's not a scholar, but he memorized the book of Allah. If you know someone who memorized the Qur'an, you have to deal with him a certain way. He's your father-in-law, your brother-in-law. He's the man praying in the masjid. You borrowed money from him. He's not a regular person. Allah Ta'ala mentioned about his situation, ذَلِكَ وَمَنْ يُعَظِّمْ شَعَائِرَ اللَّهِ فَإِنَّهَا مِنْ تَقْوَى الْقُلُوبِ. Whoever respects, exalts the symbols of Allah, it's a sign that he has taqwa. So because he has the Quran in his chest, the Muslim is going to deal with him a certain way. Umirna an nunazzil an-nas manaziluhum. We have been commanded to deal with people and put them in the proper place. There's a group of people, a category of people that I want to talk about here today. And that's because we have a lot of youngsters who are here. And this kalam is especially for our youngsters, the shabab of this community. But it's not exclusively for them, it's for everybody, but especially you younger people. We have been commanded to respect older people in this religion. Older people are not normal, everyday people. People who have gray in their hair and they have white, men and women, they're not ordinary people. And this me, myself, and I culture of the West, the UK, America, North America, we grow up in this place and we don't have the basic respect that older people have. The man who's a bus driver, he's older than you. You get into a conflict with him and you talk to him anyway, Muslim or non-Muslim. It's not acceptable in this deen. You go into a store, the man behind the till is an older man. A restaurant, he's an older man. In Al-Islam, umirna an nunazzil an-nas manaziluhum. We've been commanded to deal with people and put them in their right places. As Muslims, I'm not talking about Sikhs, Hindus, the Christians, the Jews, atheists, agnostics. As Muslims, that Quran and that authentic Sunnah told us older people are not like anybody else. So you look around in this masjid, on this side, the men's side, as well as the women's side. Those relatives that you have, your mother, your father, your neighbors, your friends, people you work with, the person who teaches you in school, kafir, he teaches you in school, he's an older person. They're not like any and everybody. There was a Bedouin, he came to the Nabi and he asked the question, Ya Rasulullah, min khayrun nas, who's the best of the people of this ummah? The Prophet told him, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, man tala umruhu wa hasuna amaluhu. It's the one who lives a long time and he has good deeds. He fasted many fasts of Ramadan. He saw 60 of them, 70 Ramadans. He went to Hajj, he made Umrah, he made Sadaqah. He prayed a lot of Jum'at. You only fasted 1 year, 2 years, 5 years. You've been practicing only 6 years. So the older person is not like the younger person. The Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us in this community, this ummah, man shaba shaybatan fil Islam kanat lahu nuran yawm al-qiyamah. Anyone who grows and he develops white as a Muslim in Islam, yawm al-qiyamah, that whiteness is going to be a light for them. You don't have any whiteness. And you don't know if you'll ever get any whiteness because you're still young. This man is 60, 70 years old, 50 years old. The lady is 50, 60 years old. That whiteness will be a source of light for her, Yawm al-Qiyamah. The Prophet, our Nabi, he told us, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, in an authentic hadith, inna min ijlalillahi ta'ala ikram, this shaybat al-Muslim, from a person respecting Allah, from a person venerating Allah. He sees Allah as being Jaleel. One of the proofs of that is for him to respect someone who has white hair, to respect someone who is older. All of these ahadith are talking about the Muslim, but it's not exclusive to the Muslim. Even non-Muslims in Islam, they get respect. The Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to prepare his companions to go out to make jihad. And before sending them out for jihad, he would tell the community, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, intaliqu bismillah wa billah wa ala millati rasulillah wa la taqtulu shaykhan thaniya. You people go out and fight in the name of Allah, and fight with Allah, and fight in accordance to the religion of Rasulullah, the millah of Rasulullah. Don't go and kill innocent people. We're not talking about that. Don't go and you come up with what jihad is. Your jihad is fasad. Go out and fight jihad in the millah, according to the millah of Rasulullah. And then he said, and don't kill the old man. The Muslims, if they're going to go out and fight, they're going to be fighting non-Muslims. So the old man is going to be a non-Muslim. He has some respect in the deen of Allah. The Prophet was standing one time, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in front of his companions, just like you, a lot of people. An old man started walking towards him and he wanted to come to the Nabi. The people looked at him and they moved very slowly. They didn't make a way quickly. When the Nabi noticed that, he became angry. And he told all of those Muslims, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, radiyallahu anhum ajma'een, and he told us, Laysa minna man la yarham saghirana wa la yuwaqqir kabirana. He is not from us. He's not a good Muslim. He's not from the correct Muslims. He doesn't have kamil al-iman. He's not from us, the one who doesn't have mercy upon the youngsters. And he doesn't respect the elders. The fact that they didn't allow the man easy access and accessibility was a sign of lack of respect. He is not from us, the one who doesn't respect the elders. So from the haqq of the elder is that this masjid, we have to make the masjid easily accessible to them. We have to make the wudu area easily accessible and usable for them. You go to any masjid in this city, most of the people, they come in and they kick their shoes off right at the door. Some people put their shoes where they belong. If there was a fire, la samahallah, one of us runs out, we have to get out, I trip over, you trip over, we're going to get up, bounce up, and wipe it off and keep it moving. We're going to laugh and just keep on rolling. The old man, in his attempt to exit the masjid, he's going to break his hip. He's going to fall, he's going to break his wrist. So from lack of respect in Islam, and it's in most of the masajid, is just the way, the place and how we put our shoes. Muslims, we're sensitive to that category of people from our ummah. Not to mention the way we talk to old people, the way we deal with elderly people, whether they're your relatives or they're not your relatives. They have huquq. In that same hadith of the man who was trying to get access, there's another narration that the Nabi says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, man la ya'rif li kabirina haqquhu. He's not from us, the one who doesn't even know the rights of the elder. He doesn't even know. So you just look at the way some of us behave with some of the older people. We have the nerve and the audacity to give them kalam, nerve and the audacity to threaten them, nerve and the audacity to swear at them, and sometimes they share our blood. They're our mothers and our fathers, our uncles. They're the wives, they're the mothers and the fathers of our wives and our husbands. So what are the huquq of the elders? What are the rights of the elders, Ummatul Islam, on this auspicious day, on this Friday? What did that Qur'an and the authentic Sunnah of the Nabi al-Mustafa al-Amin sallallahu alaihi wasallam say concerning some of these older people who you see around you? And you have to remember this is from the Sunnah of Allah. The Sunnah of Allah that He said about it in the Qur'an, Sunnatullahi fil ladina khalaw min qabl wa lan tajida li sunnatillahi tabdila. The Sunnah of Allah that was with those who came before you. And you won't find in the Sunnah of Allah any change. This is a principle, no change. Kama tudin tudan. As you do, it's going to be done unto you. You disrespect older people now, when you get old, inshallah, you're going to be disrespected. If you honor them, you respect them, you're sensitive to them, when you get old, inshallah, you'll find that same thing coming to you from the ihsan of Allah upon you, bi-idhnillah. What are their huquq? Not their rights. What are their huquq? They have many. They have the right that we address their issue here today in this khutbah. That's from their huquq, that we remind the people, these older people, they're not ordinary people. Amirna an nunazzil an-nas manaziluhum. We've been commanded, put people in their right places. From their huquq is that we have to have ihsan towards them. Al-ihsan. That word and that concept is an important concept in al-Islam. It means to generally just do good and do right by them. Al-ihsan ismun jami' لكل ما يحبه الله ويرضاه من الأقوال والأفعال الظاهر والباطن. Everything that you can do good, they have that right. Whatever you can think of, they have that right. To make it warm for them, to make it cooler for them, to give them water, to make sure they're not hungry, to make sure that they're not sick, to make sure they're not angry. All of that is from their huquq. And Allah Azza wa Jal taught us that in many ayahs of the Qur'an. We only have time for one. It's a lesson that comes to us from the Yahud. A lesson that the Jews knew. Now if they know it, what about us? It kills me, wallahi, how some Muslims in our aqidah, we put the Jews in a certain place. In our religion, that's just how it is. It's a place of justice. We put them in their right place. It kills me that we see some Muslims, they know the place of the Jews in al-Islam, and yet Jews are better than us in many issues, like in this issue right here. They're better than some of us. In the story of Yusuf, salawatullahi wassalamu alayhi, you guys have to go back and read the story. Those of you who don't know, we don't have time to go through the details of the story. But when Yusuf wanted to keep his brother Binyamin as a plot, as a plan, to keep him back and let the other brothers go, Yusuf knew Binyamin didn't steal the vessel. They found the vessel in the belongings of Binyamin. They said, we're going to keep you. We found it with you. The brothers of Binyamin, they said, قالوا يا أيها العزيز إن له أبا شيخا كبير إن له أبا شيخا كبيرا فخذ أحدنا مكانه إنا نراك من المحسنين. This little boy, he has an old father, Yaqub. He's a sheikh, kabir. Don't keep him back. Don't keep him. Take one of us in his place. His father's an old man, and you are from the muhsinin. If you keep him away from his father's going to be sad. It's going to affect his father. We're sensitive. We don't want to affect his father in this issue. They said, we see you from the muhsinin. The muhsin in Islam is the one who looks at the sheikh kabir, at the ajuz, the old lady, and they want to know, I'm sensitive. Are you happy? Are you thirsty? Are you tired? Are you angry? Is it easy? That's how the muhsin is with the old man and the old lady, whether it's the relative or it's not the relative. From the ihsan that we owe them is that we have to have patience with these elderly people for many reasons, not one reason, many reasons. One of the reasons is just their general creation, the fitna of being old. The Prophet used to make dua sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-bukhli wa min al-haram. I seek refuge in you from being stingy and from old age. The old man, he doesn't have all of his teeth. Some of them don't have any teeth. They have dentures. Can't see anymore. Can't hear anymore. There was a time when he used to depend on Allah and himself. That was it. Now he can't do anything. The Nabi from his du'as, he used to ask Allah, مَتِّعْنَا بِأَسْمَائِنَا وَأَبْصَارِنَا وَقُوَّاتِنَا مَا أَحْيَيْتَنَا. Allow us, Ya Allah, to always enjoy our ability to hear and see in our power. Old people don't have that anymore. He broke his hip. He broke his hip. The food that you and I eat, and we take it for granted, he can't eat meat anymore. We have to be patient on his situation. They say he's a grumpy old man. Yes, yes, some old people are grumpy and difficult to deal with. If you live 70 years and you saw all of the madness in this dunya, if you were able to crack a smile, then that's a big ni'mah. His mother and his father, oppression. His children oppressed him. His pension now, the government tells him, we're going to satisfy and we're going to reconstruct the finances of the country. You only get half of your pension. Only half of your pension. He saw a lot of problems in his life. Why should he smile? How could he smile? His creation requires that we have sabr with him. Allah mentioned this in so many ayahs of the Qur'an. Allahu ladhi khalaqakum min da'f. ثم جعل من بعد ضعف قوة ثم جعل من بعد قوة ضعف وشيبة يخلق ما يشاء. Allah is the one who created all of you. You were weak, little babies. And then after that weakness, you became strong. You're young now. You can go and work. You don't need anyone to help you. You're young. And then after that strength, he made you weak and he made you old. He creates whoever he wants to create. Why would he mention that ayat in the Quran? Why? Why would he mention that and bring that to our attention? You have to have sabr for those older people. Allah mentioned in another ayah, ayat, Wallahu khalaqakum, thumma yatawaffakum, wa minkum man yuraddu ila ardil al-umr, likay la ya'lam min ba'di ilmin shay'a, inna Allah alimun qadir. Allah is the one who created you. And then he's going to cause you to die. And from you or some of you who were referred, you went back to old age and you became someone who didn't know. You used to have a lot of knowledge. Now you don't have any knowledge. He's wearing diapers now, pampers now. He comes outside with no clothes on. He doesn't know the names of his own children because he's senile. They deserve some respect. They deserve sabr. As you do, is going to be done unto you. You're responsible for making things easy for those individuals who are old. And we're not just talking about the old people. We're talking about older people, the elderly, who can get around, but they can't get around the way they used to get around. As for those of you who have mothers and fathers, we ask Allah to make it easy for us. We have people in every masjid who don't realize umirna an nunazzil an-nas manazilahum. Your mother and your father is not an ordinary person. And then, to compound the issue, they're older. They're more unlike ordinary people. So Allah mentioned in the Qur'an, وَإِمَّا يَبْلُغَنَّ عِنْدَكَ الْكِبْرِ أَحَدُهُمَا وَكِلَاهُمَا فَلَا تَقُلْ لَهُمَا أُفٍّ وَلَا تَنْهَرْهُمَا وَقُلْ لَهُمَا قَوْلًا كَرِيمًا. If your mother or your father reach the age of where they become old, one of them or both of them, then you don't say to them oof. Don't say to them oof, and don't be rough with them, but say a nice word to them. Many people understand this ayat correctly, that you just can't initiate bad words to your parents. But many people don't realize, and they don't understand, there's another way of understanding the ayat. The other way of understanding the ayat is, you are a practicing Muslim. You're a decent person. You wear jilbab, niqab. You're praying in the masjid. You don't miss Jummah. You read the Qur'an. You make halal, halal, haram, haram. But your mother or your father, both of them are difficult people. When they deal with you in a difficult way, la taqul lahuma uff. Don't say to them uff. And don't be rough and tough with them. You have to have sabr with them. وَقُلْ لَهُمَا قَوْلًا كَرِيمًا. The older person, mother, father, the older person, sometimes an old grumpy man in the masjid. He's an ignited fire on the youth. He's always in the business of the youth. Don't do that. Don't do it. He's tough. The mistakes come for him. As youngsters, we say to that old man the nice word. He says something to us, we say back to him, Barakallah fik ya Sheikh. Sahalallahu alayka amruka ya Sheikh. Salamakallah ya Sheikh. He doesn't say something to us and we say something bad back to him. You have to say to them the nice word. Don't be rough, don't be tough with them. And those of you who have parents who are difficult, those of you who are dealing with elders who are difficult, I want to remind you of a statement of Al-Mustafa Al-Amin when he has prepared for the people who have ihsan, the muhsinin. Those people are easygoing. He says, sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam, for people like you, men, كَذَمَ غَيْذًا وَهُوَ قَادِرٌ عَلَى أَن يُنْفِذُهُ دعاه الله تعالى يوم القيامة على رؤوس الخلائق حتى يخيره من الحروعين يزوجه منه ما شاء. Anyone who has the ability to do something to someone, he's weak, he can just grab him by the neck, put him in a bear hug, pop his neck. He can punch him in his face, he can say something to him, kick him down the stairs, push her down the stairs. He has that ability to slap his mother. He has that ability. The Nabi said anyone who has the ability, because they're weak, the little kid, he has the ability, anyone who does it and they don't do it, they restrain themselves. Yawm al-Qiyamah, Allah will call that person in front of all of the creation and present to him the Huru'in. Let him marry from any of those Huru'in that he wants to marry because he held back. He held back on his difficult mother, his difficult father, the difficult elderly person who's in the masjid. You have to hold back. That's our deen. وَالْكَاذِمِينَ الْغَيْظَ وَالْعَافِينَ لِلنَّاسِ وَاللَّهُ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. The muhsin, he's the one who's going to take it easy. There was a man from the companions, his name was Rakana, radiyallahu anhu. Man was serious. You want to challenge him to a wrestling match? He will pick you up and slam you on your back in a minute. He was doing that to everyone. The Nabi wrestled him and out-wrestled him, and the man became Muslim. The Nabi told the people, it is not strong, the one who can out-wrestle everyone. He said, Al-Qawi man yamliku nafsu inda al-ghadab. The strong one in this religion is the one who can hold his anger back. He's strong. There's the older mother, brother, sister, the older uncle. He's strong. He's going to refrain from dealing with them with ignorance and in ignorance. Ikhwani, from the huquq of these elderly people, me, the khatib, today, I have to be a khadim to them. I have to be in their service. You young brothers, young sisters, we have to serve them. I'm the khadim. I have to open up the door for them. I have to go and get the water for them. I have to get them the chair. I have to make things easy for them. That's my job and that's your job. Again, Allah Ta'ala taught us this ayat and this story and this issue in ayat and ahadith. He said about Musa, salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi, when Musa left after killing the man in Egypt, وَلَمَّا وَرَدَ مَاءَ مَدْيَنَ وَجَدَ عليه أمة من الناس يسقون ووجد من دونهما امرأتين تذودان قال ما خطبكما قالتا لا نسقي حتى يصدر الرعاء وأبونا شيخ كبير. After Musa killed that man and he escaped, he came to Midian, the city of Midian. When he came to a place, there were a group of men who were watering their animals, and he saw there were two women who stayed back and they didn't mix with the men. Even those people knew men and women shouldn't mix. He went to those two ladies and he said, why are you two staying back? Go water your animals. They said, no, we're not going to water our animals because those men are there, and we can't because our father is an old man, Sheikh, Kabir. So Allah mentioned about Musa, فَسَقَى لَهُمَا فَاءَ السَّبَبِيَّةِ بِسَبَبْ كَبِيرٍ سِنْ وَالِدِهِمْ فَسَقَى لَهُمَا. So because of that, Musa watered the animals. This ayat in the Qur'an shows us from the rights of old people is that we have to serve them. The two girls, the two daughters of that old man, some of the scholars said he was Shu'aib. The two girls, they were taking care of the flock. That's not a job for a girl. It's not a job for a woman to walk around with sheep and cattle. That's the job of a boy. But because the father was old, they had no alternative. They had to take care of their father. It's your job to take care of your mother and your father. It's our job as a community to make it easy for older people to get the services that they want. That's our job. Our job for the senior citizens to be taken care of. As it relates to the girls, we can understand their family members. Musa didn't have anything to do with that man. There was no relationship between him and that man. But because they told him our father is old, Musa stepped in and watered the animals because of the father's old age. That's our religion. When Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam conquered Mecca, and he went into Mecca, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, his best friend and the best of this ummah after the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You young brothers, pay attention to this. Those of you who have mothers and fathers, and you had iman, and you had ihsan, and you had taqwa, and you didn't put them in the convalescent home. You didn't put your old parent in the convalescent home. You're making jihad to take care of them. Abu Bakr brought his father to the Nabi. His father's kunya was Abu Quhafa. His father had white hair. All of his hair was white. He had a white beard. He was a brand new Muslim, and he still had a beard. He was white, glowing with whiteness. When the Prophet saw that they brought the old man to him, the Nabi said to Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, "Lo aqrarta Sheikh fi bayti la ataynakum." If you would have just left him in the house, I would have come to him. And the Nabi is the Sayyid of Bani Adam. He's in the Jannat al-Firdaus. The Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam has the Maqam al-Mahmud. He's the Khalil of Allah. Allah mentioned about those prophets in the Qur'an. They said, "La uridu an ukhalifukum ila ma anhaakum anhu." I don't want to tell you people to do something and I do something else. The Nabi said, take care of old people, and he did it himself. Open up the way for that old man. He just doesn't say something. Hey, Abu Bakr, if you would have left your father home, I would have come to him, and I'm the Sayyid of Bani Adam. What about you? Who are you? Who are you? Who are you that your mother, your father, your uncle, your auntie, any old person, you can't calm down and say, I'm sorry, or go to do something? Look what happened after that. The Nabi saw his hair. He said to Abu Bakr in the family of Abu Bakr sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, غَيِّرُوا هَذَا بِشَيْءٍ وَاجْتَنِبُوا السَّوَادِ. Change the whiteness. Change all of this whiteness. Put dye in his hair and stay away from black. Don't dye with black. That goes to prove your mother who's in your house, your wife has to wash her hair. Your daughter has to wash her hair. Wash her hair, put oil in her hair, comb her hair. We're responsible for cleaning them. Your job is you're a doctor, mashallah. You're a doctor. You're a counselor. You're a counselor. You work with old people, sick people. Don't go and deal with those people rough and tough. You have to check them to see if they have bed sores. You have to do your job. And what job I'm talking about? Being a Muslim. Being a Muslim, not the professional job. Being a Muslim. Having the khidmah, taking care of them, making sure they are. You have to clean them. You have to groom them. That's our job. She has a pamper on. The mother has a diaper on for 3 and 4 days. 3 and 4 days because my wife doesn't want to change her clothes. No, my wife has to iron her clothes. My wife has to wash her hair. My wife has to look after my mother, and I have to help her to do it. We all have to cooperate. We have the right, and they have the right to have the khidmah. Lastly, Ikhwani from their rights, many rights, is that we have to have some adab. Adab, Ikhwani, is a word that almost all Muslims know it in their language. Urdu, Mirpuri, Somali, every language. Even English reverse. The word adab means to have etiquettes, to know how to deal, how to sit, how to talk, how to eat. We have to have etiquette with these people. Why did the scholars of Islam write books about etiquette? So many books. Al-Imam al-Bukhari has a book by itself called Al-Adab al-Mufrad. He has a book in his Sahih Bukhari, Kitab al-Adab. Riyad al-Salihin is a book of adab. Al-Imam Ibn Mulaqqin al-Hanbali, Al-Adab al-Shar'iyya, the etiquettes of Islam. We brought our children here and we left the etiquettes of what we learned from our countries, and now our children don't know. They're Westerners. Me, myself, and I. He thinks and she thinks that they can talk to someone older than them in any way. And I'm not trying to put these young people down. Our youngsters in this masjid, went to make Umrah 2 weeks ago, they came back. May Allah accept that. Our youngsters are in this masjid right now, and they're going to, inshallah, leave this place, and they're going to get themselves together. But how many young people in Islam don't know what I'm talking about? Even ourselves, some of us don't know what I'm talking about, because the way we deal with the elders who are around us. What's the adab? What's the adab? Not the adab, the adab. There were 3 men from the companions. One of them found his brother killed. His name was Abdurrahman. He came with the other 2 to the Nabi. He was the one who started talking. The Nabi did his hands like this to that man. Kabbir al-Kubra. Kabbir al-Kubra. He told that man, hey, let the older one speak. It was his brother who was killed. The Nabi said, hey, let the elder speak. How are you going to speak in the presence of your father and your uncle, the people who are older than you? At the job, I have a problem, I have a beef, I have a misunderstanding with a kafir. Him and I go to solve our dispute with the boss. He's 60 years old, 55, he's about to retire. The boss says to me, Abu, what happened? I have to say, as a Muslim, with all due respect, my religion says this man has to speak before me. That's Dawud Allah, and that's our deen. The Nabi said I was sleeping. I had a miswak. There were 2 men who came. I could see both of them wanted. I gave the miswak to the younger one. Jibril came to me and said, Ya Muhammad, kabbir. Hey Muhammad, give it to the big one, give it to the big one. So the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam took it from the little one and gave it to the big one. Some young people went to visit the Nabi, they embraced Islam, they stayed with him for 20 days learning the religion. He noticed that they were missing their families. He told them, okay, go back home, I can see you miss your families. He said, when it's time for salat, let anyone make the adhan, and let the eldest one lead the salat. And let the eldest one lead the salat. Why does he want the eldest one to lead the salat? Yeah, there's a hadith that said, let the one who knows the most Qur'an. But here he said, let the eldest one lead the salat. Why? Because there is no substitute for experience. He may know all of the Qur'an, but he doesn't have fiqh. He goes and he prays Salat al-Baqarah, Surah al-Baqarah. He wants to read Surah al-Baqarah. But the older man, he knows that's going to be heavy on the people. إذا صلى أحدكم بالناس فليخفف فإن من ورائه الكبير والمريض وذو الحاجة. Islam said, pay attention to those older people. It has an i'tibar. From the etiquette, ikhwani, with these older people, is that the Nabi told us, Sawidu akbarakum. Pay attention to this. Sawidu akbarakum. Muslims, make the elders your leaders. The elders of the masjid should be the leaders. The elders of your family should be the leaders. The elders of where we come from should be not the shabab. I seek refuge in Allah from the shabab. The shabab, they'll set a bomb up to blow people up and call this Islam. We want the Islamic government. And they'll kill old people. That's Islam? No old man in this masjid. He says, I'm 75, I'm about to die, Allahu Alam. I'm just going to go and blow myself up and blow a plane up. An old man is not going to think like that. It's the young people who think like that. Young people are like that. The Nabi described the young people from the Khawarij, and he said about them, Hudathal Asnan, Sufahal Ahlam. The young people, they're young with little teeth, and they have crazy ideas. I'm going to establish a khilafah. How are you going to do it? I'm going to blow up a plane. He comes on TV, they interview the young one. He's in charge, the young one. Okay, guy, if you guys become, the khilafah is in Canada, what's the first thing you're going to do? We're going to kill all of you. He says that on the TV. Wallahi billahi, they say that in the UK. That's how they conduct interviews. No, the older people, the Nabi said, let them be the leaders. They said, why, Ya Rasulullah? He said, because if your elders are the leaders, they're going to remember the good things that they learned from their elders. And if you let the young people be your leaders, then their peers, the peers of your elders, will disrespect your elders. The Sikhs, they have leaders. Christians, leaders. White, black, leaders. Everybody got leaders. Look at their leaders, older people. Look at the Muslims. Who represent us? The Shabab. No, not like that in Islam. There are just too many etiquettes, ikhwani. The point is, we have to respect these people. From this day on, until Allah knows when you lose your life, understand and know older people, elderly people, they're from the community members who have been ordered to have a special way of being dealt with, and that's the deen of Allah. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ونسأل الله تعالى التوفيق والسداد. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah. Ikhwani, we have to stay balanced. What I just said doesn't mean that we want the Islam in this masjid or any other masjid, the cultural Islam. The cultural Islam where we have a bunch of older people who don't know what they're doing. They want to practice Islam the way it was in the old country. We don't want that Islam. The Islam where there are not even facilities for women to learn their religion or to pray and worship Allah. No, in the UK, this type of Islam has helped to lead to radical young Muslims, extreme young Muslims, because they can't relate to the Imam who's talking in a language that the kid doesn't know. He's talking about things, a khutbah in Baghdad, over 800 years ago, a khutbah in Baghdad. He doesn't even have enough sense to change the name, and the Khalifa Harun al-Rashid, he's still saying Harun al-Rashid, reading the thing. We're not saying that the elder should be in control and there's no room for youngsters. We're not saying that. The Nabi was visiting one of his companions. The owner of the house came. The Nabi was sitting here. To his left were companions, to his right were companions. Since the Nabi was the eldest, since the Nabi was the Rasul, he was the Ashraf, the Akram, the man came. He didn't start from his right. He started with the big one. The man came. He gave the Nabi some milk. The Prophet drank some of it. He looked to his left, there was Abu Bakr, Khalid ibn Walid. To his right was a little kid, the justice of the Nabi. He said to the little boy, you're on my right. And to the left are the elders, the Sheikh. So I'm asking you, do you want me to give to them or you want to go? The young boy loved the Sunnah. He said, Wallahi, I'm not going to prefer anyone over myself concerning you. Let me have that milk. And the Nabi gave him the milk. And then the boy sent it around. That young boy was from the Ansar of the Sunnah, like we have some of our children. I like that. They love the Sunnah. She loves the Sunnah. She doesn't want khurafat and bid'ah and shirk. There's an older man in Pakistan, he has a group, Minhaj al-Qur'an. He has weight. We don't respect him, wallahi, because he's an imam who's peddling kufr and shirk and bid'ah. He eliminates himself from having respect just because he's old and he's an imam of kufr and shirk. No. That little young boy, because of his knowledge, because of the weight, I'm not going to put anyone and give ithar over you, over myself. I want that. And the Nabi started with him. That goes to show, if the young boy is in the saf, you can't push him out of the saf. You can't put your hat there and say, that's my space. The boy come, you put him out of the line. No. It goes to show, ikhwani, and I finish with this. We have to work together. The elders, they have the baton. And the youngsters are coming behind us. We have to be willing and ready to pass that baton to them. They have nashat. They have activity. They have power. The strength of youth, exuberance. The community, the older people, cultural Islam, they are suspicious of the youth. No, get out of here. You can't be heard. You just seen. Don't say it. That's not Islam. It's not Islam. So in this masjid, Masjid Abu Huraira, this masjid took those shabab to Mecca for Umrah. That's a masjid that's looking into the future. A masjid that looks after the affairs of the kids, looks after the affairs of the women. This khutbah is for the elders. That's a masjid that looks after the affairs of the community. Take care of the elders. So with that being the case, we need you people, you older people and you younger people, to collectively cooperate with each other, especially concerning taking care of this masjid. We need your continued support for the water, for the lights, for the activities, and for the facilities that have to generate money. So I'm appealing to you by the name of Allah and in the name of Allah that you guys on this day, this auspicious day, all of you are here, let us try to give generously and donate to the ongoing efforts that this masjid has. A masjid that's trying to be ahead of the curve, not one of those cultural masjids detached from the reality of the lives of the elders, of the youth, of the women. Nah, We want to be in front of the curve. We ask Allah Ta'ala to have mercy upon our elders and to forgive our elders and to cause them to die only on Islam and to purify them. And we ask Allah to make it easy for our elders. And we ask Allah Ta'ala to give the rush to our shabab and to bring them back to their aqul. And we ask Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala to establish all of our feet firmly upon the kitab and the sunnah and not to allow us to check out of this dunya, whether we're young or old or in between that, except that we're lovers of the sunnah and the lovers of the tawheed. أقم الصلاة يرحمكم الله. فيكم بارك الله. مؤذننا الحبيب.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Inshallah, let's just make as much space as possible, like squeeze between yourselves. Make sure your legs are almost together to have the extra space, inshallah. Create one extra space for your brothers and sisters, inshallah. So the brothers coming, the masjid is full to capacity, inshallah. So squeeze, inshallah, between each other. And right after the salah, inshallah, give us 5 minutes also if a brother is taking a shahada. So inshallah, just give us 5 minutes, bi'idhnillah.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
استووا ولا تختلفوا فتختلف قلوبكم وصدوا الخلل إن تسوية الصف من إقام الصلاة. Ikhwani, this prayer is the best thing that we're going to do in the course of today is have some discipline concerning it. We don't want the cultural prayer that we just pointed. Pay attention to the salah, not just have the don't race me.